Anime presents That Time I Tuned Into a Podcast Just to Listen to Somebody Shill for a Publisher. I'm your host, Zeke Chingers, along with the editor-in-chief of Honey's Anime, Alfonso Ortiz. How you doing, Fonzy?
Why, hello. I am doing great. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. All right, now here's a quick recap if you're just joining us for the first time. Here's how we tend to do things. I'm going to give a pitch to Fonzie about a manga that I have read, and we'll discuss it for a couple minutes, and then he's going to talk to me about something he's read, and then we're both going to suggest something that we both think has been really interesting and something you should pick up. So, you ready, Fonzie? Here's my pitch. I read the first issue of Veiled Princess, which is kind of right up my alley. I am a big lover of the cute girl romance that is got some Yuri overtones, and boy, does this one ever have it. One of the descriptions of this is that Fujishiro is super cute, super popular, super annoyed with anyone as plain as her classmate Kanade. Uh, we even get a hint that Kanade was bullied by Fujishiro in elementary school. And when Fujishiro finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her, she has a complete meltdown. And the person who just happens to be next to her at the
Reasonable.
time is Kanade. Uh, and so Fujishiro is so distraught, she cries into her shoulder. And this leads to some sort of epiphany that this girl, this plain Jane that she has mocked before, is going to be her new BFF. And that sets a whole chain of events into motion where they're both, because of their friendship, one that Kanade doesn't necessarily warm up to right away, kind of leads them down the road of them becoming their only friends because their circles that they both have slowly begin to ostracize them.
Oh.
And that's where we kind of leave things. And I'm really interested to see if this becomes more of a romance or whether this becomes two really awkward girls. One who was formerly like the beauty queen of the class, and the other one who is the plain Jane, finding their own inner,
Mm-hmm.
inner self that, not defined by the cliques in the Origiro kind of way. So I really enjoyed it.
Very
It's
nice.
it's great. You've got Fujishiro is a great character because she is, she's the blonde. How do we pronounce it? Gairu,
Oh, Gairu.
Gal.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, she's the
The
blonde. Wears
Garu.
the scrunchy socks and wears makeup and
And then
everything,
she
and
got
she's like
tan
the
skin.
popular. Yeah,
Yeah, full
not
got
necessarily
him.
tan skinned, but she's definitely the leader of like that clique. And you know, the other one's like a Fujoshi otaku, and the
mm,
fact that the two of them end up finding themselves
all right.
together,
Together. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
All right. Well,
it,
that's
it leads to
nice.
some fun.
It does. That sounds like it actually leads to a lot of fun. I read another manga that was kind of like that. So I do like that kind of story setup. That's pretty interesting, especially for them. I don't know. It almost kind of reminds me of the Breakfast Club kind of theme.
Yeah,
You
a little
got
bit. Yes, yes.
all these people part
Ali
of the
Sheedy,
cliques and everything. Yeah.
yeah, Ali Sheedy being made quote unquote prettier by Molly Ringwald. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So yeah, you got the
so,
poshy girl,
yeah,
and then you got the girl that's considered the outcast because of what she likes. So it's
exactly.
typical kind of story setup, but that is nice. I do like that. I do
Though
feel
a
like
Captain
it's
Crunch sandwich, I'm not sure. It
hey,
was.
I honestly don't knock it until you try it.
I'll
I
have to tell
I've
my sister that one. She's a huge Breakfast Club fan, and I've never quite dared her for that.
I've tried it once just because, and I was young, so why the heck not? I was curious about it, just of seeing it in a movie, and I'm all like, let's try it out, and it ended up being Okay, it was all
Okay.
right. I mean, there's not to get too much off topic, but you got the Captain Crunch flavor with bread. Bread has a kind of blandness. It's just like it's just a placeholder. It just holds
I
everything in
I
place,
imagine
and that's it.
it has to be like Wonder Bread,
Kinda,
like
yeah.
that most air fluff tasteless bread you can get.
Well, it definitely wasn't fluffy, but it did the trick, and it was actually interesting. And there was something else I heard recently that I'm like, okay, I might try that. And I forget exactly what it was. It was something odd like
But
apple pie with a slice of cheddar cheese on top of it, or something like that.
that just seems weird. But there's some people in which cheese is the like the dressing for everything. So
True.
yeah. The one other thing with
Mm-hmm.
this is it kind of has a My Fair Lady or Pygmalion kind of thing to it,
Oh.
um, uh, where Fujishiro
Mm-hmm.
is like takes her, takes her friend to a beauty parlor and starts doing her eyebrows and everything, and then is like, "Oh my God, she could be prettier than I am. This can't be."
Ah,
So,
no, I hear ya.
yeah, it's kind of cute. It's supposed to be cute, and it succeeds in being cute.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's not like extreme jealousy or anything like that. It's just
No,
like
but
envy,
she
malice.
gets some nice reactions from her. Like she's like, "I got to up my game. My
I
new
see.
BFF can't be prettier than I am."
That's funny. Well, I mean, let's hope that throughout the volumes as they release, uh, she definitely does find herself and doesn't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, hopefully these two can really find who they are, other than who they are as part of the groups that they're in.
Yeah. I
Uh,
am curious now. Yeah, whether it is going to be more on the romance side of it, where they're both helping each other out, or that they both find each other by being best friends, unwilling or unknowingly at first, I guess you can say probably,
yeah,
but at the same time helping others in the process around them, like their cliques, realizing that what they're doing is just, it's just fad.
inane
It's
high
yeah,
school stuff.
yep. But at
You
the
know me,
same
I'm
time,
I'm exposed to that high school stuff every day, and so trust me.
yeah, I could totally understand that you would be, and I mean at the same time, you. It's not like you want people when you're young, especially. You don't want to grow up too fast, be too
No,
mature. Because if you're too mature at such a young age, you're mostly annoyed the most time, like most of the time, and I can only see that, you know, you that person
as
may be happy about
as
it.
that person who
Yeah,
was too mature all the time, yes, it can be difficult.
yeah, it can be very
As we
difficult.
dredge up memories from my past, yes.
Well, I totally understand that. So, I mean, but then of course there's two sides of the coin. You have people that are too mature for their age, and then those that are too busy being kids and
Yes.
not really giving too much thought to anything. And yeah, that's when you get a lot of life lessons, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're mostly bad
Yeah.
versus good.
But if we go with plot
Mm-hmm.
and art, plot, art, and style,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely a must read. If you like a cute high
Mm.
school story, this is one for you.
Very nice. Actually, I do want to check that out now.
Alrighty.
A failed princess. I'm sorry.
Failed Princess, yes.
Okay.
And I believe that's in reference to Fujishiro, because she is quickly ostracized from the her clique, and so she is no longer the queen bee of the school. So
Oh boy.
now that we've talked about our opposites attracting in a non-creepy cat dancing way with Paula Abdul, um, yes, kids, look that video up on YouTube. Opposites attract. Paula Abdul dancing with a cartoon cat, suggestively. All
Yes,
right.
suggestive. That's a
All
keyword.
right, Fonzie. Now that I've really gone off the deep end there, too much quarantine. How about telling me about what you've been reading?
So I've trying to pick the best one that I was recently going over because from I say like late August until now there were quite a bit that were really good. But I do want to shed some light on more of a recent one that is going to be coming out soon or already has actually coming out this month or last month, but it is called The Kingdom of Z. Now, this was actually pretty good. I did like it as far as it started out because you go in and you think it's going to be like this typical kind of ecchi zombie apocalypse manga kind of style thing because that's what it is. But really, there's a lot of character interest and development that kind of like unfolds in a comedic way, slightly comedic way, while still trying to keep that suspense and thrill throughout the first volume. It did a really nice job actually. Okay, and this manga is licensed by Seven Seas Entertainment. The art is done by Ron Watanuki, and the story is done by Harawata. Bit of a tongue twister there. So the story, obviously, it's zombie apocalypse in Tokyo. I am assuming it's Tokyo. So basically, you have some students that are kids in their high school. Already, there's a horde of zombies, being uh, unleashed in the city. We only know that it's on TV, so it's like that kind of scenario where you're just doing your regular thing at home, and all of a sudden you hear noises outside, screams, and then you turn on the news, and then there's mayhem all of a sudden. So it kind of picks up in that setting right away, and so you're in the mess. And what happens is that this guy, this kid, was being chased by some zombie girls, and they were cornering him in an old building, and he hid in a locker. And at the same time he hid in a locker, he was hoping that they would leave, but then he heard two other voices, and it was two other girls, but they obviously didn't sound like they were zombies. And so they intervened, and they helped him out and saved him pretty much. The interesting thing is that these two girls are not your normal girls, and that's really what kind of intrigues me the most about the whole story, is that they're very smart, very ambitious about the situation, oddly. And one of them has an ulterior motive to the whole scenario that currently happened, and it's interesting. So first off, we have one girl. Her name is Karin. So her name is Karin-chan, and she basically is just your regular high school kind of girl, always out there, very adventurous, and the kind of girl that wants to do things, whenever she wants. She like wants to play by her own rules in that kind of sense. And then the other girl is Miki-chan, and she, I guess you could say, is like an academic scholar kind of girl. She is very smart. She analyzes stuff a lot, and with that, she plans things. She even experiments on zombies, which is pretty trippy, and I'll get into that a little later. So
Okay.
they save this kid. His name is Sato, and basically he's in the moment of fear and suspense while also being distracted by these two girls' beauty. And so that's where the kind of edginess kind of comes in. He's a young kid, he's got that perverted mind, so he's always looking them up and down and stuff like that. But then they know, they're girls, they're smart, they know exactly what he's up to as far as his mind, so they kind of control him a little bit, and they tease him, and they blackmail him in certain situations to basically do the grunt work, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. So the idea of what they do is they hook him. They hook him with the whole, oh yeah, it's apocalypse, but we have to repopulate the world. And so he's kind of like, oh, we do. And so thinking like, is it gonna be with you two? And the girls are all like, of course it's good to be with us because it's only us right now. But of course there might be survivors out there, so you better be on our good side. Otherwise we'll go with them or something like that. So that's how they hook him. And he's like, oh gosh, okay, all right, I'll try. And he does all this grunt work and everything. And at the same time, Miki, the girl that's really smart, is experimenting on zombies, and this is where she's figuring out how if they're vulnerable, they have weaknesses, how resilient they are, the whole 9 yards, things that you find out on The Walking Dead. So yeah, she has this whole thing, but the ulterior motive that she has and she reveals is that she wants to form her own kingdom, her own country, where she's the queen. And the weird thing about that is that she wants to use these zombies to her advantage to get that. So she comes up with the idea that, oh yeah, if we're gonna have zombies, obviously, if you have, say, military zombies versus regular people who are zombies, regular people aren't that strong. They're gonna be weaker, and then the zombies that are military, they're gonna be more stronger and last longer. So she has all this in mind. She even had a part where, I don't know, she picked like uh, a martial arts zombie that was still doing martial arts apparently. So the whole scenario of what you thought of a zombie is kind of like, what you were in real life still is like very, very true to when you're a zombie apparently. So that's like one thing that I never thought about, which is really interesting. I do kind of like that theory. I wonder if it'll be true one day. We'll see. Uh,
Odd.
yeah,
2020. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen
it's
in 2020.
it's yeah. Just hope it doesn't happen on Christmas. That's all. Christmas is my time. So, but honestly, so that's basically the gist of it, and so it leaves off on a nice little interesting kind of cliffhanger in a sense. Is that they create like a fire signal to see if there are other survivors around. At the same time, they go out to get supplies. Poor Sato thinks he's going out to get like food and stuff because he's starving. They don't really have that much food. They don't have enough for like another few days to a week. And so when they get to their destination, he's like, "Oh, we're here, but it's a department store, so there's like no food around or anything like that." And that's kind of how it leaves off. But at the same time, the signal that they created, survivors did see it, but they're being treated badly by a group of people who are controlling them, which are hoodlums. So these hoodlums are, pretty much wreaking havoc and not really guaranteeing their safety. So one of the survivors sees the signal, sneaks out and flees towards it, and then that's it. It leaves off right there. But
Okay.
I like it. It's intriguing enough that this girl Miki she's very like, I don't know how to this the words that you can describe this girl. I don't think there's a single word other than she's very like devious in a sense.
So kind of a mastermind kind.
Yeah, like kind of a mastermind. Because get this, it said in the manga that okay, so she wants to create her own kingdom of zombies, which is the title Kingdom of Z. Uh, Originally, before zombies were even a thing and it was just regular modern society, she still wanted to control the country of Japan, but she wanted to do it legally, and that was by becoming the prime minister. So that's how
Okay.
she was gonna do it. But since it's all apocalyptic zombie, now she's like, oh, it's a lot easier. Now I just need to build up a whole kingdom of my own, and I shall be queen and rule the land and all that stuff. So I'm really curious on how that's gonna happen. Because in between, there's a lot of the ecchi comedy going on between Sato and the two girls, and other situations that they're going on. And the other girl, Karin, is basically the right hand man to Miki. All she wants to do is just kill zombies and do whatever she wants. And under Miki's rule, she will allow that. She'll be able to do that.
So, as you probably can imagine which zombie apocalypse I'm thinking about. That happens to be my favorite zombie apocalypse etchy story. Uh, so, where does this fit with High School of the Dead,
See,
which is
oh,
absolutely, I mean, that's my favorite zombie story.
you know what? Let's just say it's not as intense
Okay,
on both fronts of uh, action and gore, I guess, because of
okay,
killing
and
zombies
physics.
and physics of physical movement,
Okay,
because we all know how that show just loves to bend physics, especially with the human body.
yes,
But yeah, no, it's let's just say it's a little more down to reality. It's a little more in that scene,
okay,
but you still have busty girls. You still have
of course you
very
do.
smart, strong women in there as well. And then you got the typical boy who has the heart of gold, but obviously a perverted mind in a sense. So Yeah,
Yes.
but it's nice. It's nice. I'm totally invested mainly because I am super curious about Miki-chan, that girl.
Well, wondering, what I mean, we know her in goal at this point, but
Hmm.
it's interesting to see how they really think they're going to rule the world with zombies.
It really is. And they even start collecting them. Like they capture zombies, tie them up, and put them in certain areas where they know which ones are like the foot soldiers or whatever, and the stronger ones. And this girl, she's pretty cynical in that sense.
Apparently, well, apparently she's not someone you f with.
No, you do not want to run into this girl in a dark alley because that's like she looks beautiful. She looks sweet. She's kind and generous and caring, listens, and she's very, observant about the girl Karin and even the boy Sato. Like she is genuinely concerned, but man, her ideals are just extreme. That's a
It
that's a
wa-
good female dictator in the making right there.
yeah, apparently so. I mean, it sounds absolutely fascinating. And you said which publishers got it?
Its publisher is from Seven Seas
Seven
Entertainment.
Seas. I'll take a look.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take a look because, like I said, I'm not one for zombie apocalypses, but if they've got cute girls in them, just maybe, just maybe, it
Just
might be
maybe.
my kind of my kind of manga.
And yeah, I mean, so far it's just two, but judging by how they came across that fire signal idea and survivors
Yeah.
did see it, I'm sure there are going to be more later on, and
Well,
etchy apocalyptic scenarios will ensue.
all right. Well, and I know we're both, kind of really interested when we saw that at the end of Alicization for SAO that
Mm-hmm.
they teased that
Oh
Progressive,
gosh, yes, at
which
the end.
kind of goes back in time, is going to be their next anime instead of moving forward with the series. And I know that inspired me to pick up the Progressive novels.
Nice.
And I was very surprised with how it really changed my perspective on the characters.
Ooh, that sounds
We
good.
have, yeah, it really is because you have a you really start to understand this dynamic between Kirito and Asuna.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really even like, they're very awkward around each other to begin with. They don't really, they're kind of like partners of convenience, something that you really don't get in the anime. In the anime, you kind of jump from their first meeting to the Knights of the Blood
Mm-hmm.
to I want to date you in the real world and I want to get married with you in this world and buy a log cabin.
Okay.
And it's it's much more detailed. I mean, they've got a very interesting, very slow burning relationship, and that in itself is absolutely fascinating. It talks, and if you're a gamer, it talks a lot about their building their stats and how everybody else has to build their stats, and
Nice.
what a bloodbath the
Ooh.
first year in Einkrad was. Like
Oh,
apparently, like 2,000
nice.
of the top gamers that were in there died that first year.
Yes, yes. I remember in the anime, the first season, they mentioned it in passing, but you
Yeah,
never really knew what happened and what was going on. I think they even had a couple of clips here and there to fit like character scenarios that were happening later on in the franchise. Even
yeah,
I don't
but
even think it's
apparently
even.
I mean, it is very like very brutal,
Oof.
and also it explains, that scene that sounds ridiculous because it's in English for us, where he refers to himself as a beater, as
Oh,
a beta test cheater,
yes.
and he refers to it as beater, which as translating to English, that sounds very awkward.
Yeah.
But
Yes, it does.
he, it actually shows a motivation for him that you don't see. He takes on that mantle to be the beater,
mm,
so other beta testers don't get persecuted and discriminated against.
I see.
He decides that I'm going to become this evil thing that a lot of you people will hate, because that'll take the pressure off of other beta testers that
Mm-hmm.
are in Aincrad at that time. And the beta testers are really important to the survival of everyone because they have an idea how this game works. And it's really shows a different side to him, and it shows a different side to Asuna, who we understand that she's, this, you know supposed to be this prim proper young lady who
Mm-hmm.
just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But it shows her as one of the reasons she was able to survive so long was because she her entire life was a grind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of grinding for XP, she was grinding for grades. She was, instead of trying to, increase her stats, she was always needed to be the first person. And it shows a very different vision of her. Like, she spends, 4 days alone in a dungeon,
Man.
and and she's just like this total badass, but she's a badass in the death wish kind of way.
Yeah.
She's like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die going forward. I'm not going to go back. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
keep going forward. And if I die on a time of my choosing, instead of
Nice.
the lesser heroine
Uh-huh.
that we see in the anime. She's quite the stone cold
Well,
badass.
I mean, she's got the nickname the Lightning Flash. Or...
Yeah, talks about that. And so I've been very impressed with the how they've built out these novels. And of course, in light novels, this is the
Mm-hmm.
only universe in which you've got like three different versions of the same story. You've got the web novel,
Uh-huh.
you've got the original novel, and now you have the progressive series, which is fleshing out the progressive novel, fleshing out the light novel.
Mm-hmm.
And American publishing, they're like, yeah, that first novel, it's about 200 pages too light. Can you go back in and flesh out all these characters? Which is basically what they've done with progressive. So it's it's the
I see.
medium being very eccentric.
Okay. Man. Well, I mean, disregarding that, the story itself that you're describing right now, gosh, I want to check it out now. I definitely want to read it because it definitely covers the first part of the season, which was by far my favorite.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
they blew and they blew over that really quick too.
mm-hmm.
You really get a sense of that first year in Aincrad just being, it was hell for so
Man,
many
yeah.
people.
See, I want to read that. I want to see that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It adds a whole new dimension to this, and hopefully, uh, whoever's got it, I guess probably A1 Pictures, can do some justice to this story, um, and
I hope
make
so.
it a little more guttural
Yeah, I hope
than
so because
that first version.
the most recent season, the anime season that just finished with I think it was Alicization, one of
Yeah.
the war arc one. That one, I mean, the whole Alicization series in itself really was great. And
Oh yeah.
I love the introduction because they actually touched on I forget her name, but their cyber daughter,
Yes, Yui.
Yui. There you go. Yes, they touch on her NPC, AI development, like her algorithm on
Yeah, they
how it's not just something it was like, code that was written and created, like they were actually born.
right.
And so just the fact that they went and covered that, and they're covering more, but with progressive, I hope they probably fill in some gaps because there were some gaps that I
Yeah.
wanted to see.
I mean, the Alicization talks about whether things are top-down AI or bottom-up AI,
Mm-hmm.
and whether something's just lines of code or whether you can basically create a soul without a body and then
Yep.
raise that soul as a human being in a virtual environment. And that's actually a mind-blowing thoughts in a lot of ways, because it
Very.
lets us it actually goes back to, we could probably spend an entire episode talking about SAO at this point. But
We could.
yeah, but it goes back to one of Kirito's statements is, when people talk about to him about the real world when he's in Aincrad, he's like, but this is the world I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so what makes this less real
Exactly.
than where my body sits? And it's actually it's almost like Descartes philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It
where
was
he
very
is where he
meta.
is. So it's quite fascinating. But all right, we're going into Philosophy 101, which is a college course. So let's bring us back home here.
Yes.
Uh, so let's see. We had Seven Seas Entertainment to thank for these, and who did I say gave us access to um, my failed
For the Failed
princess?
Princess, I believe that was Seven Seas
It
as
was
well.
Seven Seas. Yes,
Yeah.
Seven Seas again. So we really have to, of course, thank Seven Seas for providing us with some of this amazing material to review and get
Yes.
spread the word about, because
And
it's,
early.
you know, the more people who enjoy, the more they're going to produce, and it's just a great feedback loop of a reading enjoyment for all of us, especially when most of us are trapped at our homes most of the day. So
Mm-hmm. Yes.
yeah,
Manga and
when the
light
grocery
novels.
when the grocery store becomes a field trip, you know you're thankful for your light novels. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Uh, until next time, for Fonzie and myself, we thank you for listening and keep reading.
Yes. Please keep reading more light novels and manga. And there's not just Seven Seas out there. There's Viz Media, there's Yen Press, there's Kodansha. So make sure to check them out. They got some great content that they're bringing from Japan. And also, I mean, follow us here on YouTube as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and
Yes,
tune in.
because at Honey's Anime, we are the place for the anime enthusiast.